Hi, I'm Yulia, and this is the News Brief. And today we're going to talk about some key developments for Ukraine this week. And of course, we're going to discuss it together in the comments so you don't have to suffer alone and I don't have to suffer alone. And of course, please leave your questions, suggestions, constructive criticism, anything you might have in your mind in the comments down below, and I will make sure to read it. Let's go. Ukraine has been striking Russia's oil and gas infrastructure, quite relentlessly. There have been 17 strikes on key infrastructure in Russia, and that includes oil processing plants in Ryazan, Saratov, and Volgograd. That also includes fuel storage facilities in Krasnodar Krai, Astrakhan, and Kursk Oblast. Kursk is very close to Ukraine. Krasnodar and Astrakhan are very far away. Krasnodar Krai is close to Korea. And that's very, very deep into Russia. So that is very interesting that Ukraine was able to even pull off those strikes. Also, why are we talking about these strikes so much, and what does that mean for Ukraine? Why are they so important? Obviously, Russia is a gas station of a country run by a mob, but what does that actually give Ukraine? Because the battlefield isn't seeing a lot of change. Well, what Ukraine is aiming for is fuel exhaustion. And fuel exhaustion is a method of pressuring Russia into basically collapsing its strategic sector. The strategic sector means that Russia's oil and gas sales fund Russia's war against Ukraine, since we do not have enough advanced weapons to beat Russia on the battlefield at the moment. We're going to beat Russia economically, and if you think that these are seamless and these are meaningless, 59% of Russia's processing capacity has been destroyed by Ukraine in the past couple of months, this summer. That's huge. And a lot of these processing plants, as I said, are very, very deep into Russia. This is aimed at Russia's economic collapse, strategic economic collapse, that basically would make it nearly impossible for Russia to fund the war. And I know Russian economic crisis due to their oil and gas facilities being damaged sounds very far-fetched and sounds like pink ponies in fairy tales, but it's achievable. It's a lot more achievable than to push Russians out on the front lines with our current weapons and capabilities. It is much better for Ukraine strategically to continue doing those and exhausting Russia economically while preparing for a big offensive, instead of consistently losing men trying to win a fight on the battlefield. And I wasn't going to say a losing fight. I would say an equal fight, because what has been happening in the past 3 years since mid-2022 is it's been a back and forth. Ukraine defends a village or two and takes it back. Russia offends a village or two and occupies it. So it's been kind of like a tug of war kind of thing. That doesn't work, and that's not how you are able to win a war. So we're thinking out of the box, and that's what we're doing. Then there is also a big update with the Coalition of the Willing. After the signing of a peace deal with Russia, not this one, but in general, once a peace deal would be signed, European countries are willing to provide us with security guarantees. And that is according to Emmanuel Macron, who is the French president. And this sort of security umbrella for Ukraine would be under the guardianship and guidance of France and the UK, which are, together with Germany, the strongest European countries in terms of their weapons and their abilities. Poland is kind of coming right up there. Poland is the most combat-ready army in the EU at the moment. However, Germany, France, and the UK all have weapons that Ukraine can use. Volodymyr Zelenskyy came out and confirmed this initiative and said that around 30 countries would be involved in supporting this and making sure that it goes through. And there is going to be a meeting today, well, actually, as I'm recording this, in Paris on September 4th of 2025, with European leaders such as Macron, Zelenskyy, Antonio Costa, Ursula von der Leyen, Alexander Stubb, Mette Frederiksen, Donald Tusk, and others. And of course, they're going to be talking to Trump through video calling, which, I mean, again, I would say that involving Trump in any of this really doesn't make a difference, because he's, what was it? It was 2 to 3 weeks to do something about Putin. Then it was another 2 to 3 weeks to do something about Putin. Then the deadline was a couple of months. Then it was a couple of months again. Then it got shortened to 10 days. Then Trump and Putin shook hands in Alaska. And then now suddenly we're going to have a very different approach if nothing changes. But nothing has been changing for over a half a year now, and Trump has been stretching time. So for me, I don't see Trump wanting to resolve the conflict. I don't see Trump wanting to have a just peace. Trump just wants it to end so he can put like a little check mark on "I ended the war in Ukraine" on Russia's terms, and he just wants it to be done with whatever conditions, doesn't matter. So yeah, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte also said that, we need to continuously keep pushing for Ukraine's sovereignty, and we need to stop giving Putin excessive power. And that is very true, because these negotiations, these letting him be at these summits, inviting him, talking to him, giving him the time of day is giving him access power, while he needs to be isolated and he needs to feel like a complete failure. Because we're not making him feel like a failure. We're making him feel like he still has power, respect, and he still has political pull. And he shouldn't. And then, of course, Zelenskyy came out and said that this narrative of giving Putin Donbas in exchange for other territories is incredibly dangerous, because that's going to open up path for Russia to invade Kharkiv and Dnipro, because that directly correlates to what was done with Crimea in 2014. That was basically a platform for further invasion, because instead of telling Putin, and I mean the world, instead of holding him accountable for invading Crimea, the world was just like, okay, well, let's give him Crimea, and then just hope that he is happy with that and he doesn't invade again. He got away with taking Crimea by force. Why would he not invade again? He wants more territory. Of course he's going to invade again, because it was easy and no one called him out on it. Of course, if Putin goes further into Ukraine and is able to take more oblasts, which are basically states or parishes, so if he's able to do that, and if he's able to annex Ukraine in general, then Ukraine is going to be a platform for invading Europe. And of course, think about it. If Putin invades Ukraine, Putin is going to have our weapons. Putin is going to have the weapons that we have from other countries, so Western technology, the weapons that we have been developing ourselves, which have been a lot. And we just developed long-range missiles, the Flamingo missiles, that the world is very excited about because they're not expensive to produce and they do go very far and they do cause quite a bit of destruction. So there is a lot of these factors that make it incredibly dangerous for Russia to be able to invade Ukraine. Again, also our soldiers that Russia can use for their own benefit, the soldiers that have been highly trained and skilled to fight a war. So that would be very bad and really not beneficial for anyone. And I know that I'm kind of laughing at it and I'm saying this as if like, duh. But the point is that we do need to remember that, is that Putin is going to take as much as he can get. It's like you give them a finger, they bite a hand, right? It's like a shark. Putin is not interested in peace. Putin is not interested in taking some territory and calling it a day. He's interested in getting away with it and taking more. Ukraine has now developed missiles that can strike 3,000 kilometers away, while Russia has missiles that strike 2,500 kilometers away. So that's already something that we have up on Russia. While obviously Ukraine is a much smaller country than Russia is, and we would need missiles that go much, much further than that in order to be able to strike something like Siberia. But at the same time, most of the facilities that we need to be able to strike, we're going to be able to do so with the missiles that are currently being produced and released by the Ukrainian defense sector. And of course, Europe is a key factor in preventing further Russian aggression. Support of Europe, support of the Western world is a key factor. And it's not because Ukraine is weak, not because Ukraine can't handle itself. We have been for the past 3.5 years. Hey, we're still here. We're still standing after after it was supposed to be a 3-day military operation and then it was supposed to be a 3-week military operation. Well, it's been 3.5 years and the military operation is still as unsuccessful as it was at first. Ukraine is going to hold on. Ukraine is going to do everything that we need to do. We choose to fight this. We choose to stay alive. We choose to protect ourselves. But we also need support and we need help and we need people and governments to listen to us and to be on our side in order to do that effectively with less losses, with less human sacrifice, and in a shorter period of time. That's all I have for you for today. Thank you for listening. And if you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel, turn on all of your notifications, as well as send this video to a friend and give it a like. And of course, if you have something to say, please don't hesitate to do so in the comments down below. See you next time.